Hey up, it's that old Yorkshire geek here, and it's Friday, which means it's Picard, Season 2, Episode 7 review, Monsters. The only thing that's monstrous about this episode is the episode itself, because it's bloody awful. Absolutely terrible. But we'll muddle through, and I'll give you my thoughts as we watch. Right, I've got it lined up in me Amazon Prime. That's where we watch it in the UK. We haven't got Paramount Plus yet. And off we go. Right, so we'll do the recap first. I should imagine. I've watched it once already, obviously. But here we go. Come on, frame. Get the... There we go. She's shooting Borg Queen. Hey up. See there? And the Borg Queen basically assimilates Agnes. We've been through all this before, haven't we? You know this if you watch every week. There we go. Let's leave, the murdering lunatic in charge of the ship and the Borg Queen. Look at her. What is it? Charlie Brown in a blonde wig. That's Agnes. Anyway, there's Rios. But his doctor that he's obviously fallen in love with, and he's loving the 21st century, even though he was tasered and locked in a cage and about to be shipped across the border. But anyway, there's Picard's mother. Looks nothing like the mother that we saw in Star Trek The Next Generation, the episode where no one has gone before. We saw Picard's mother in there. Yeah, it was, in his mind, but I presume that was an accurate representation of how he remembers his mother, who was an old lady and speaking with a French accent. Anyway, yeah, Picard saved his ancestor from Dr. Soong, Adam Soong. I don't know if he's a doctor. Yeah, he is, isn't he? Picard ends up in the clinic, and it's obviously he's indistinguishable. He's a robot, remember? He's a bloody robot. I'm going to swear in this episode proper because it's getting me angry. He's a robot, but obviously he's indistinguishable from, a flesh and blood human. So he's a replicant, isn't he? He is Deckard. Not Deckard. Yeah, he is. He's Deckard. He's, what do they call him? Batty. Roy Batty. Right, there's some sort of star that's kicking off. That star. I wouldn't want to be too near that. It's kicking off a bit. Now this is supposed to be Picard's ready room, he says. Later on, he says it's his ready room, but this don't look very Next Generation ready room-ish to me. I reckon this is probably a set from Strange New Worlds. I bet it is, because they'll have had the sets built. I don't know if it were filming at the time of Picard. I think it was. So they probably just borrowed a Strange New World set, because that doesn't look very Next Generation-y to me. It looks more, Kurtzman Trekkie, Discovery, etc. Anyway, obviously we're in Picard's mind now, because this episode is mostly in his mind, because it's stupid. It gets worse though. I know what's coming. That's trouble. Look at him. Patrick Stewart's vanity project. That's what this series is. Especially now he's, he's got a creative input. It's not Picard. It's Patrick Stewart. I saw somebody mention in the chat somewhere. It's not Patrick Stewart playing Picard. It's Picard playing Patrick Stewart. Here we go. There's Gaius Baltar. What's his name? James Callis, the actor's name. I wonder if they wanted Alexander Siddig as Dr. Bashir for this scene. But it wouldn't come. So they thought, well, who looks a little bit like Alexander Siddig? Let's get James Callis in, because he's British as well. In his, I don't know era of the uniform. It's reminiscent of the Deep Space Nine era, but slightly different. 25% different, I suppose you could say. Anyway, the back, I haven't got subtitles on. I don't know what they're saying. Hang on, just let me put subtitles on. Subtitles, there we go. Right, so, cracky. I pressed pause by accident. Anyways, doing this. This is supposed to be some sort of therapist, ship's counsellor. Don't know. I don't know if Picard even knows if he's in his own mind. But he's being quite belligerent towards the therapist, and the therapist is saying, well, they're supposed to talk for an hour. So he asked him to tell him a story. Picard says they've been there for 40 minutes talking. He says, that's it. It's only been 20 minutes, but you've got to need to give me something. If you don't want to talk, that's fine. But he's got to tell somebody that he spent an hour with him. It's all in Picard's mind. I know, fair enough, it's a fantasy that Picard's making up. But this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Especially later on, when we have some revelations, you think, well, hang on. Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Don't trust him, Patrick. He's a Cylon. Spoilers, I think. Was he? I think he was a Cylon, wasn't he? A Bolter. Or he was made one, or something like that. I can't remember. It's a lot long since I've watched Battlestar Galactica. So you can pick up holograms and just move them around now, can you? I know it's a fantasy. It's in his mind. You can do anything. Yes, I know, but whatever. That looks very. They bought that in a cosplay shop, haven't they? That's not a proper uniform, is that? Look at it. It's very ill-fitting. They've got that from Amazon or somewhere. Well, yeah, probably have. As soon as I'm watching it on Amazon, they bought that off some cosplay shop of Amazon. Anyway, he's telling him a story now about a queen with fiery red hair, like the sun, because he's holding the sun in his hand. And she was a female. What? What? Even Boltar says, you're talking shite. And he's obviously talking about his mother. His mother doesn't have fiery red hair. Not even in this, she doesn't have fiery red hair. And in the Next Generation, she had grey hair because she was an old lady speaking with a French accent. But they're trying to make out here that the Picards lived in England until they moved back to France in the early 24th century. Probably in about, 23, 30s, 35-ish, something like that. Something in along those lines. Well, she has got red hair there, hasn't she? But it's obviously... It's his fantasy, I suppose, isn't it? She didn't have red hair in the other times we've seen her. Not that I can recall. She had dark hair, didn't she? But it's his story. I suppose you can have anything. And then we come up to a very telling line from young Picard in a minute. See, I don't want to be like him. And she says, it's not all bad. And then he says, he wants to be like you. I say, I want to be like you. Not just like, his mum. Not just like, a strong person like his mum. You get the feeling he means he wants to be a girl. So Picard now wants to be trans. He's transitioning. Oh, I could cry. What are they doing? What are they doing to our characters? Our beloved characters. Just out of the blue, he wants to be a girl. But anyway, the painting on this like a conservatory, in it, I suppose, and the windows. And it's in Picard's story. The pictures are coming to life. And then there's a monster that comes. The episode's called Monster. So Picard's making these monsters in his mind. He wants his mum to save him. But later on we find his mum wasn't actually trying to save him. Spoilers, she's the monster. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make a lick of sense. So they go running, all the glass exploded. Is that how it happened in real life? I doubt it. Because every time we saw the conservatory, all the glass were broken, wasn't it? But I doubt in real life the paintings came to life. So they go into the tunnels. They're not just about tunnels under Chateau Picard. They're not just tunnels, are they? These are full-on, medieval dungeons. Not just tunnels. Something's grabbing her and dragging her away. I don't understand. I don't get it. Pardon me. We're going through the credits now, so I will try and explain why I don't understand. This is obviously in Picard's head. This is what we're seeing. Is obviously he's unconscious, isn't it? So he's playing something out in his mind. So what really happened? Obviously his mother didn't really get dragged away by some monster, because that doesn't really happen, does it? In real life, I know it's Star Trek, but you've got to have some sort of verisimilitude, haven't you? So I don't understand really what's going on. Maybe I'm just too thick and I haven't got the artistic nous that these people have. Like I said, later on, we find that his mother had mental problems. But we'll get to that, and I'm going to rant about that later on, because that doesn't make a lick of sense either. Eugene Roddenberry, God, keep just doing it for paychecks. Sorry, I just saw his name on the credits. And it saddens me. It saddens me that a relative of Gene Roddenberry is back in this stuff. I know I said this last week, didn't I? But it does my nut in. Terry Matalas. Or was it Matalas? I don't know. Go on, get on with it. Get on with it. Jane Maggs, never heard of her. Never heard of the director either. Right, so he's still in the clinic. And they're going to sod off these two, 7 of 9 and Raffi. They're going to use the Lacerena's sensors to locate Agnes. And they don't know what's got over her, because she was singing in the previous episode. She was singing, and then she kissed Rios. He don't tell them she kissed him. He just says ask her. But they come to this conclusion that she kissed Rios. He could have just seen her kissing somebody else for all they know. But no, they just jump into conclusions. She's right. They came to the right conclusion, but the point is they didn't know. He didn't tell them. And now they're having a little, what's this? The Bechdel test, isn't it? 2 women in a science fiction series talking about, women stuff. Just get on with the story. By the way, this ship, they can beam about and all that. The ship were on its arse a couple of episodes ago, wasn't it? But now everything's all working hunky-dory. They can just beam where they want to. They couldn't communicate a couple of episodes ago, but yeah, they could beam somebody, to within a few feet of a location. And in this episode, they can beam something with amazing precision. In fact, astonishing precision. I wouldn't want to be stood there when it happens. Anyway, the ship, something's happening to the ship, and it's obviously got some Borg code running through it, because 7 of 9 recognises it. And I prefer when she sometimes, like I say, Jerry Ryan, she goes into 7 of 9 mode when stuff like this happens, and she's good at that. But when she's actually doing, people stuff, it just takes me straight out of the character. Anyway, back at the clinic, not Laris is going to go into his mind with a device that just happens to look like some Vulcan / Romulan ears. I think they actually mentioned it's like a Romulan mind meld. But are Romulans, do they have telepathic abilities like Vulcans do, or have they lost them? I don't recall it ever being mentioned in the lore. Maybe as in the the extended lore, I don't know. But are Romulans telepathic? I don't know. Anyway, so we're back in Picard's mind, and he's back in his therapy session with Bolter. Don't trust him. Obviously, he doesn't recognise him. Spoilers. That's his father. That is Picard's father, his dad. But he don't recognise him. Does Picard? Because it's stupid. I'm sighing again. Sorry. Anyway, saying that he's going to have to recommend that Picard loses his command position, because he's got mental problems. Willing to lead his crew into a suicide mission. Anyway, they're going back to the story. The boy was alone in the tunnels. It is a dungeon. Oh wait, he wasn't alone. There's not Laris there. Was it Tallinn? I can't remember. Then she's hearing voices. I'm Locutus of Borg. She's hearing Picard saying stuff from various episodes or whatever of TNG or wherever it's from. Anyway, she soon finds there's a monster growling. Got to keep reminding us it's called monsters. Some tunnels are these, aren't there? When they said there were tunnels that let them escape during the the Nazi occupation, we're expecting like these little dingy little tunnels like in the Great Escape or something. And there's like a full-blown necropolis beneath Chateau Picard. But it's not a chateau, is it? It's just a country house, isn't it? With a vineyard. Anyway. Right, she's found young Jean-Luc. And it's saying, young Jean-Luc saying he can't leave. And said she always said if they get separated to stay put. Obviously talking about his mother. Just a lot of talking in this episode. A lot of wittering. Just repeats himself. Anyway, she says she's going to help him, because that's what she's there for. Because he's stuck there, and she says she's going to unstick him. Excuse me. So they're going to try and save his mother. Pardon me. Oh, pardon me. Now it says a monster took her. And obviously he's thinking the monster is his dad. Because he comes to that later on, and it turns out the monster wasn't his dad at all, it was his mother. And yeah, there's this revelation later on. But we've got to go through lots of waffling first. Look at that set. That is not the Next Generation set. That is 100% Strange New Worlds, I bet. I bet when we see Strange New Worlds, I bet Captain Pike's, quarters or whatever look just like that. I bet they do. I bet they do. Anyway, Picard's had enough of this therapy session. He's going. Ain't curious why he ain't got his uniform on? Obviously not, because it's in his head. I keep saying that. I keep reminding you that it's in his head. Even though there's a revelation later on, how would Picard know this revelation if it's all in his own head? Hey dear. Come on, get on with it. I might do some editing here and just cut this review down, because nothing happens. Nothing happens in this episode, or very little. Look at him, doddery old bugger. I'm stuck. Remember, Patrick Stewart, one of the things he wanted to do in this season was cover his childhood trauma of his father beating up his mother, and his anger management problems that he has, or had. And in this episode, it turns out it wasn't his father after all. It shifts all the blame onto his mother. And he must have been fine with that. The scriptwriter's writing that his father didn't actually beat up his mother. His mother was just mental. Which is basically what it's saying. We get there later. We get there later. Because these two are just waffling. They're just waffling to one another, talking about secret shames and dark sides and all this guilt. I know it's drama, but it's not Star Trek drama. What's this banging? So he's got to actually say what's this banging. Even though we can hear this banging, he's got to say, what's this banging? Because he thinks he's on stage, doesn't he? Does Patrick Stewart thinks he's in Royal Shakespeare Company still. I bet in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I bet Patrick Stewart's in that as Professor Xavier. I bet his performance is exactly the same as in this. He used to be a great actor, did Patrick, but he's lost his spark. I'm sorry, but he has. Right, back in the dungeon, and the monster's growling. That's not a monster, that's... they just grabbed some medieval chainmail out of the costume box, shoved it on a bloke. You know what this is, though? Patrick Stewart did the voice of the Emperor in Oblivion, didn't he? Elder Scrolls, 4, Oblivion. And that started off in a dungeon, didn't it? Bet that's where he got the idea from. In his creative meetings. Why don't we have it in a dungeon? I did a voiceover in a dungeon once for some video game thing. Anyway, is getting throttled by a monster. Anyway, back at the clinic, the doctor's kid thinks he's I forgot his name now. Lewis off The Last Starfighter, because that looks very much like Lewis's little costume he had in The Last Starfighter. And if anybody else has picked up on that. Greetings, Starfighter. Anyway, she says they've got that door locked, and she's going to be cross because they've locked her out of her own room. There she goes. Mama's going to use some bad words. Anyway, he gives her keys so she can go in. The kid's feisty, obviously, just like his mother. And he's telling her to keep an open mind. There's actually genuine chemistry between them. Look, they actually do like each other in real life. I'm not saying anything, but or maybe they're just good actors. What the bloody hell's happening here? Why are you walking towards like a serial killer? Because he's not a serial killer. It's Agnes that's the serial killer. Anyway, back to the monster. That looks familiar. Does that makeup effect on that creature? I've seen that somewhere before, or something similar, but I can't think where. she's wanting to take him to hospital, and obviously they won't let her. So, right, here we go. Amazing bit of transporting going on here now. Needs a stabiliser for Picard, for his brain. There you go. Beam it into his hand. I just beam it onto the tabletop. If your hand moved a little bit, it could have materialised inside his hand. Anyway, he just gives it to her, and she knows precisely what to do. I was watching this thinking she was actually going to put it on his head. You know, like the things that Beverly used to put on people's foreheads in Next Generation, and then all lights used to flash and stuff like that. I think they had one in Star Trek 4 as well, didn't they? This is basically Star Trek 4, isn't it, when they're operating on Chekhov. It's just ripped off Star Trek 4. But no, she doesn't do that. She doesn't stick it on his head. She just waves it over his head, presses the button. No instructions necessary. I'd be like, what do I do with this? Could kill him for all she knows. I thought she was going to put it on his head. I'm doing it. You can't see, but I'm motioning with putting my hand on my head. Anyway, they're still in the dungeon. The mighty dungeon. Right, so she breaks open his... is she doing that because she's Romulan and she's strong? Or has Picard given her the strength in his fever? Anyway, she's worked that device properly and is stabilising. Here we go, another Star Trek 4 reference. No, I'm from Chile, I just work in outer space. Oh, God. They haven't got an original bone in the bodies, have they? Right, some sort of doorways opening in the Picard dungeon. And then suddenly, they're in Chateau Picard itself, out of the dungeon. No, the coppers have been to look for. Remember, there's a missing copper somewhere. I don't know where they put him. They didn't kill him. He kind of got partially assimilated by the Borg Queen, but nobody's been to look for him. She's just brought 7 of 9 a coffee. You know, just this instance, just like what 10 seconds ago. You haven't touched your coffee. You've only just brought it for your daft. Ooh. Let's have a look at Agnes's cleavage again. Very, very nice. So they realise something's up with Agnes, that I think she's been assimilated, or partially assimilated. Now Picard's grown up in the Chateau Picard, which is all manky still. Can't you remember it being nice? No, because they probably haven't got the sets for it being nice, have they? Whenever it showed him remembering it from his childhood, it were all quite dark and dingy, weren't it? They didn't show many details, did they? So they just had the set of it being all, dilapidated and done in. Right, so the kid recognises him, but Picard don't recognise him because, why? He's Picard. It's the same person. Oh, for fuck's sake. And another, he's Picard's father. He says he died. Picard's older than he ever was, but he kept his hair. Yet we saw him in Star Trek: The Next Generation. I think it was the episode Tapestry. I think. Where he didn't keep his hair. The writers and Kurtzman, they've never sat down and watched Next Generation, any episodes of Star Trek. They've probably had selected ones picked out for them, and that's all they've seen. They're not fans. They think they are, but they're not. They're not fans. So what's that then? Let's look again. There's just a picture with some squiggly lines. That obviously means something to Picard. Is it a map? Is it a maze? Don't know. We're finding out now that he told Picard never to go down into the young Picard, never to go down into the tunnels because there are 1,000 ways to die down there. I don't know why. Only a tunnel, and all said and done. And the family used them to escape back in the day. And it's his mother that's taking him down to the tunnels because she's mental. So why did Picard think... I don't know. Why did Picard think his dad's a monster? Hey, she's sodded off, look. She don't care about her son. He's stuck in the floor for some reason. And his dad finds him. Says it took him hours. Took him hours to find him. So, showing that his mother's just sodded off and left her son for hours. And then he's obviously had an altercation with her. She's hitting him, if she were hitting him, he's just trying to, restrain her. So what do they do? Does she get help? Remember, this is in the 24th century. This is in the 2330s or thereabouts. In the 24th century. And they can't get help for her. In the 24th century. It's bollocks. They basically just stuck a straitjacket on her and locked her in a room. There was no monster chasing your mother. He says, no, there was, but it was herself, her own mind. So did Picard always know this and just suppressed it? Or is he somehow just learning this magically in his own brain? That, he shouldn't be able to know this. He probably always knew it, and he just suppressed it and just blamed his dad for no reason. Because he wants to be a girl. He wants to be like his mother. He wants to be a girl like his mother. But yeah, we saw his mother in The Next Generation. She wasn't mental. But she did have a French accent. But it's not over. There's more to this. Oh, crikey. And then Picard comes to. So we're going to go back in there out before we're done. What's this? Episode 7. So we've 3 more to go. So we're going to go back into his mind to find out what else is in store by his crackpot mother. Pardon me. There they are, drawing on the walls. That's called graffiti. Don't teach your kids to draw on the walls. My mum would give me a clip right here. She would. Doing that. What you bloody think you're doing drawing on walls? I work here. Got to keep it tidy and clean. Draw on your paper I give you. Anyway, I think either they're going to go to the future with him or he's going to stay in the past. I suspect Rios is going to stay in the past. Never mind, changing history and all that. They don't care, do they? So he's going to take the doctor, I can't remember her name, the doctor and her son to the La Serena in a minute. They're obviously falling in love, are they? He's going to stay in the 21st century. They're going to do something. They're going to make it so that he can't remember and he'll stay behind. They'll wipe his memory and he'll stay behind. So he can't damage the future. You know what I mean? There you go, she's threatening him. They'll never find your body. Oh, right. Now he's thinking, maybe she's mental. Oh, women are mental. What? Did you hear that? So if you heard sirens, I've got windows open because it's quite warm today for once. And loads of sirens just went past. Right, just beamed them onto the La Serena. How did he do it? Don't know. Did the computer do it? Did he have 7 of 9 and Rafi do it? They don't seem to be there, actually. So maybe he just went, La Serena, 3 to beam aboard. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Right, they're looking for Agnes. And I think Seven's resigned to the fact that the Borg Queen is trying to make Agnes into a new Borg Queen. They've hacked into the security cameras. So they're trying to, get an image of her, where she's been. More singing. Now that this bit here I don't understand really. She walks in, she looks around. It's all Terminator vibes, isn't it? And apparently she just wanted, that's it in the window, look. She just wanted, I don't know, endorphins or whatever, coursing through her body, which enables the Borg Queen to control her more. Well, why does she have to go and break a window? If she wanted like the thrill going through, why didn't she just grab some man and start snogging him and all that? That'd have done the trick, wouldn't it? You'd have thought, rather than breaking a window and drawing attention to herself, in a destructive way. But obviously that wouldn't be picked up on a security camera, as we will see in a bit. Now then, not Laris is going to reveal something to Picard here now. Remember in the last episode she spoke Romulan. Now we find out why she spoke Romulan. She muttered something in Romulan under her breath. Now she's going to show him something. She's got Romulan lug oils. Well, she's got one Romulan lug oil. I knew it, I knew you could be an ancestor. Usually we're recruited from their own, occasionally similar species. They're not similar though, are they really? Apart from appearances. Appearances aside, they're pretty much totally different underneath, under the skin. Green blood and all that. Anyway, apparently she's got to walk around for at least 8 hours now with one Romulan ear, with one pointed ear, because it takes 8 hours to recharge. My phone doesn't take that long to recharge. So, that's it now. He's got to go and find. He's got to try and find out where Q is. So. He goes to base. He goes to Guinan's. Even though she was supposed to have buggered off, a couple of episodes ago, she was leaving, wasn't she? But they forgot that, didn't they? Because obviously the scripts just get passed round with basic notes, probably. And so he goes back to Guinan's bar, and she just has to still be there, even though a couple of episodes ago she was sodding off. Anyway, it's on about Q. You're saying that Q needs this trial to happen. It's about him, but it's urgent to Q, personal and urgent to Q. What happens to Picard? Basically, what they're doing with Picard is what they've done with Discovery. It's all about Michael Burnham in Discovery. She is the centre of the universe, and in Picard. Jean-Luc Picard is the centre of the universe. Everything revolves around him. There she is. Look, there's Guinan. So she's not Guinan, is it? Not Guinan. Looks nothing like her. So obviously she didn't go. She actually does say, that she didn't go, basically. Right, anyway, she says the Elorians and the Q had a treaty that they wouldn't destroy each other or whatever. So the truce was made over a bottle. The actual bottle that she's actually got there, probably one of the most important artifacts in the universe. She just happens to have it in her bar in Los Angeles in the 21st century. What a load of frigging shite. Absolute. I'm close to proper swearing. I know I did swear just then, but I mean real big boy swearing. And so to summon a Q, she's got to drink from this bottle. Because it's magic. Because there's no science in Star Trek now. It's all magic. All stuff just happens. They don't explain anything. Or if they explain it in magical terms and not in scientific terms. Star Trek's supposed to be all about science. Whether plausible or feasible or not, everything's always got a scientific term explanation. But no, now it's just magic. She's summoning a Q, and everything's all shaking. Why is everything shaking? Don't know. Why don't you just appear? I don't think he can he? The Q in this. Why not another Q appear? Why does it have to be that particular Q? Because she thought about that particular Q, or is it because it's the nearest Q? I don't know. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why did she just smash that bottle? Did it give her a thrill? Why did she just say, smashing glass gives you a thrill? Because I like the sound of breaking glass. Don't ask me who sang that, I can't remember. I've got it on an LP somewhere. Here we go, right. So, nanoprobes get stronger with endorphins. Why? Don't know. So we're witnessing the birth of a new queen. And basically saying she'll assimilate the Earth back when the Earth couldn't defend itself. Start at first contact, anyone? We're supposed to save the future, might have just doomed it. We need Picard. Why? What can he do? I know he's the star of the show, but what can he do? I know he's got a connection to the Borg Queen, but my first instinct wouldn't just be to say we need to find Picard. I mean, bloody hell, 7 of 9. What a Borg! You'd think she'd have more insight into what to do next than Picard would. Anyway, this fella just comes down the stairs. She says we're closed. He says the signs had open. Don't care if it did or not. Still wants a drink. He seems a bit determined. Isn't there other places he can go? He says they're celebrating. Don't know what he's celebrating. So she gives him a white wine. She basically insults him. She does. She insults him, saying he's one of the person that asks for a bourbon but actually wants a white wine. Basically saying he's a bit effeminate because, the ladies drink white wine, don't they? So she's insulting him. It's alright, she can insult him because he's obviously, it's a white straight male in his 40s. It looks. I hate it. I hate this programme. Hate what they've done to our beloved characters. And we haven't seen anything yet. All the rest of the crew come in season 3. They're going to crucify him. Anyway, he says on about talking about science fiction and stuff, and then he just gets up and comes across, gets his phone out. You'll see in a minute. It's a lot more waffling, than is necessary. I was saying, for me, science is aspirational. Science, facts, science fiction, love it all. Back when Star Trek used to be aspirational. It's not anymore, though, is it? So you're on the loser there, mate, with the Kurtzman trick, because it's not aspirational whatsoever. Right, gets his phone out. I think it's a phone. Yes, gets his phone out, and there we see Picard beaming in. He said, "How did that happen?" And then she said, "Oh, camera glitching. It's all funny." But for some reason, he says, he gets his badge out, and he's FBI. So obviously the feds, every time there's a weird security camera thing happens, unexplained, the feds pounce for some reason. So every time I've watched one of these videos on like Slapped Ham or Nuke's Top 5 or weird stuff happening, that means immediately after that video happened, the FBI descended on the neighbourhood. Anyway, that's your lot. It's finished now. On there. Press pause. Absolutely terrible garbage episode. The worst episode by far I've ever seen with the Star Trek name on it. And I've seen some rubbish ones. So now Picard and Guinan have been arrested. By the FBI this time. Not by ICE. By the FBI. By the big boys. By the me. I'm stumped. They're just making stupid nonsense up, and like his mother. We know what his mother looks like. We saw her in Next Generation. She looked nothing like we've seen her in Picard. We know what his father looks like. We saw him in Next Generation. Looks nothing like. He didn't look anything like James Callis. And he didn't get to keep his hair. Oh, what else? 7 of 9's acting totally unlike 7 of 9. Yeah, fair enough. I know it's 20 odd years later than we saw her in Voyager. But she's not 7 of 9. Anyway, what is it? 8, 9, 3 episodes to go. We're still no closer to finding out how they're going to. They're going to do it on the last 5 minutes of the season, aren't they? Last 5 minutes, they'll sort everything out and go back to the future, and everything will be hunky-dory, and the rest of the Next Generation crew will be there waiting for them with open arms. Except and then there'll be something else that'll go wrong as a cliffhanger. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This episode, I'm going to give this a score out of 100. 1/1,000,000 of 1% out of 100. That's what it deserves, because of absolute drivel. Absolute drivel. As the Admiral said in season 1, and I'm going to swear, I do apologise, sheer fucking hubris. That's what the writers and producers of this show suffer from. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it hanging in the air, those words. So until next time, look after each other, and I'll see thee.